you all. Well, I'm excited. I think we have a great meeting. We are going to induct a member today. Hooray! That's always a good day. We have a great program, some cool announcements, a few little presentation tweaks. You know, it'll be good. Change is good. And we know to bring in change a little bit at a time, right? Oh, and we're going to hear from Trisha Smith today with her Rotary moment. I'm kind of looking forward to that, Trisha. Can't wait. Not to put the pressure or the, on you, right?
Yeah, no pressure, no pressure.
Can you see the link now, Barbara?
Yes,
Okay.
I can. Thank you, Pete. Good job.
Welcome, everyone. Hi, Tajba. Welcome.
Oh, Tagba, I think you're muted.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey.
Great to see everybody. Oh, there's Brent. Welcome again, Brent. Glad to see you here. And the Mustons have joined, and the Wicklins. Bless you, whoever
Bless
that
you.
was.
Whoever that was.
Bless you all.
Yeah. I heard 50s and 60s next week. Oh my goodness.
What? 50?
50 next week.
That is amazing. Now, I am going to be in Florida next week.
Nice.
I have been working very, very hard, a little too much to, this is one of those times when you realize, like, to go on vacation, you spend so much time at work and so hard, then you get your vacation and then come back and guess what? You got to do it again.
Yeah, you need a vacation for the vacation.
Exactly. I know, I'm going to have to kind of keep watching those emails and different things, but the break will be great. Get to see a good old friend from high school, and I will admit, probably drank a little too much wine. So, but
that's not possible.
That all sounds fabulous.
Are you going to Mar-a-Lago?
No, I'm flying into Punta Gorda and going to Venice. So last year when I was there, I helped her, we went to the garden center and picked out a few things and planted something because, by the time February, March hits, I'm anxious to get into a garden. And so this year she actually asked me if I would help her again. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to garden. So, it's just different, very different.
Absolutely.
Well, wonderful. It's 12:02, so I think we will get started. For everybody, my name is Barb Thomas, and I am the president of the Iowa City Noon Rotary Club this year. As I mentioned in some of the earlier talks, we are going to tweak things just a little bit. And one of the things that we're going to tweak is with the beginning of the meeting, in that we always do start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. However, we received a couple of good recommendations. And so we are going to do it with this new slide that we're going to show so that you can see the flag. And with that, you can stand if you'd like, but it is not a requirement. It is up to you. But if you could, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
of the
to
United
flag
States
of the United
America,
America,
the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you all. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to Kelly Drown for a few quick Zoom tips. Kelly?
Great. Yes, thank you, President Barb. Just as a friendly reminder, please remember to mute your microphone, especially during the speaker time, so that all that background noise is mitigated. That makes it much easier to listen to. Also, right now, you're probably in the gallery view. When our speaker, or even after, even during announcements, I would highly recommend you going to speaker view so that you have a better view of the information being shared. Also, when you go, if you have questions during our speaker, or if you have brought a guest or a visiting Rotarian, please go down and use your raise the hand option so that we can call on you. If you are a guest, we will ask you to unmute your microphone and introduce yourselves. And with that, I will turn it back over to President Barb.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kelly. So we will actually go into introductions, which will give you the opportunity to practice those Zoom skills. Look for the participants button, which is where you can raise your hand to be introduced. I do know, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly, but first I'm going to go to our first guest, who is someone I know through my work. He's a student worker here at the Tippie College of Business. His name is Joe Bridle. Joe, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there. Thank you all for welcoming me to this meeting. So my name is Joe Bridle, like she said, and I'm a junior at the College of Business studying business analytics and finance. And I'm actually from North Liberty, so right around the corner from where you all usually meet. And I'm here on behalf of Dance Marathon today. I am on the finance committee of Dance Marathon. And if you don't know what Dance Marathon is, we raise money throughout the year to help families, especially the children, fighting pediatric cancer, especially in our Stead Family Children's Hospital. So Dance Marathon raises money through door-to-door and sponsorships and all that good stuff, and really helps the families by helping pay for the treatments that they do, helping pay for meals that the families need to get when they need to get out of the hospital, and also paying for research for pediatric cancer so that kids in the future don't have to deal with these struggles. And on the finance committee, I help track the donations, making sure that all of the financials are in order and kept track of properly. And I was actually here last year to tell you about Dance Marathon as well. So thank you for welcoming me back. And so 2 years ago, I was actually diagnosed with cancer. And ever since then, I have been motivated to do as much as I can for Dance Marathon, because I know what those families have gone through, and I know the struggles they have, and I know how troubling and stressful those times can be, especially when all this is going on. This is an incredibly tough year for those families. So I have always been wanting to do more, get as many donations as possible. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about how Dance Marathon uses the funds, and then I will drop a donation link in case you all want to donate. And I encourage you to, if you can. If you can't, I understand it's been a tough year financially for a lot of people. So Dance Marathon, it's really incredible because the average lifetime cost of a pediatric cancer diagnosis is $500,000 for a family. That is a crazy number. I'm sure you're all aware. The treatments are insanely expensive, and even down to the parking and food is really tough for the families. And so Dance Marathon uses just over 62% of the funds, and that goes directly to the families and the hospital for their operations on the 11th floor with the pediatric cancer patients. And then just under 25% goes directly to pediatric cancer research, the oncology research. So I will drop a link in case any of you want to donate. Okay, I think there it is. And once again, thank you all so much for your time, and I appreciate coming back to the Rotary meetings.
Thank you, Joe. And I think we all are happy to know that you are cancer-free and moving into remission, which is great news. Very happy about that. So, support Joe or support any student in Dance Marathon. If you go to Joe's site, you'll see that you're in the Dance Marathon site. You can even search for a different student. If the neighbor across the street is a participant, you can support any of them. So thank you, Joe. And I'm going to turn it back to you, Kelly, for more introductions.
Great. Nancy Quellhorst has a guest today.
Hi, it's my pleasure to be hosting once again, Brent Karstensen.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be back with you again.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us again, Brent. All right, Ryan Bell has a guest today.
I've got two guests
right.
and a quick announcement to tie into it too. First guest is Claire Mcgranahan. She's been here before, but never via Zoom. So this is exciting. She is a communications specialist at the University of Iowa Healthcare System. Claire, you want to say hi real quick?
Sure. Hello, everyone. It's so nice to be here. You may have seen my face before when I worked with another business, but as Ryan said, I'm with UIHC, actually the Stead Family Department of Pediatrics. So thanks so much, Joe, for your plug and helping our HEMONC kids.
Great.
Awesome. And then my other guest is with the Iowa City Area Business Partnership, Emily Wenzel, and we're actually going to co-announce a fun opportunity for all of you Rotarians coming up soon. They're putting on a program, I guess you would call it, called Speed Networking. And it allows, because we're members of the business partnership, it allows any of us as Rotarians to partake in that event. So I'm going to let Emily explain some of the details and introduce herself and turn it over to you for a real quick announcement, Emily. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. As he said, my name is Emily Wenzel. I am the Director of Events and Programs with the Iowa City Area Business Partnership. And coming up on March 10th at 4 p.m., we have our first speed networking event of the year. We will be hosting it through Zoom, so you already know all of the technology and all of that. But basically, you come into a meeting like this. I have a series of spreadsheets and breakout room assignments that are timed, and if it works out correctly, which it often does, you will have the opportunity to meet everybody that's at the event at least once. So you'll be randomly sorted, not quite randomly, but you'll be sorted into different breakout rooms. You'll go in, have your elevator pitch, who you are, what you do, anything you might want to plug in the community, and then the timer will go off and you'll get moved into a different group. So it's a fun way to meet a lot of people. It's more structured than sort of an open networking event where you have to walk in and find somebody to talk to. I will give you the people and I'll tell you what to talk about. So it's a good time, and it's a way to meet the partnership staff and a few different members of the community as well. And I will put the link to register for that in the chat.
Great. Great. Well, thank you and welcome to both of you. Claire, it is a little bit of a blast from the past. We used to work together at Kirkwood, so nice seeing you.
Good to see you
Right.
too.
Yes. All right. We also have a guest. Pete Wallace also has a guest.
I do. I would like to introduce to our speaker today.
Thanks, Pete. I am here at the very kind invitation of Pete Wallace, and I feel like I know so many of you in this room, so it's a pleasure to join all of you today. Thank you.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us.
All right. Does that look like it, Kelly?
It does. I don't see any other raised hands.
Great. Thank you so much. So welcome to all of you. You know, Mary, if you know so many people in this space, you should just come back every week and be a part of our Rotary Club. It's just that simple. Same for you, Claire, Emily, and you know, it's a great opportunity. And I do want to encourage people to take advantage of that networking opportunity. Our club is a member of the Iowa City Partnership, but you know, in times of COVID, we've been challenged. We don't have the opportunity to meet people as much, mingle, you know, go have a glass of wine if you want, but this will give us a virtual opportunity to meet other people in the community. And it's a great way to kind of meet and mingle. So take advantage of it and register. The link is there in the chat. So now we'll move on to a couple of announcements. So I do want to make sure that everyone is aware. The information is in the chat, so you can scroll up in the chat if you would like to. But Pete Wallace did let us know that Towncrest Pharmacy in Solon is taking appointments for vaccine distribution for this Friday and Saturday. But you must have an appointment, and you must be over the age of 65. So again, if you go into the chat, just scroll up and you will find a direct link for that. So thank you, Pete, for bringing that information forward. In addition, I wanted to let you know about a few changes with our board of directors. So we have been blessed by having Neil Quellhorst as our treasurer for the past several years. And, you know, the treasurer is a big job for the club. You're keeping track of a lot of financials back and forth, and it's a volunteer position. And we have been very lucky that Neil has done this for us, but he has let us know that this is his last year as treasurer, because he's kind of hopeful that once COVID's done, he and Nancy can hit the road and have some travels and kind of enjoy themselves, and all the better for them. So with that, we actually reached out because Madeline Windauer, one of our Rotarians, had expressed an interest in that she would be willing to serve. And so she has agreed to a 3-year term as treasurer. So with that, that is actually a non-elected position on our board. We do want to kind of put the call out because in 3 years' time, we will be seeking a new treasurer. And it's a great way to really learn about the club, learn how we're organized, kind of help make things happen. And it's really instrumental in what we do. So if you think that might be of interest of you, you know, think about it, let me know, let President-elect Eric Weiler know, because we may try to do things in transition just so that, you know, we don't want to be like, hey, it's July 1st and it's now all on your plate. We've got plenty of time to work and plan towards that. But if you are interested, please let us know. So with that, though, Madeline had actually been elected for a second term on the board, a second 3-year term. And so that actually opens up her spot on the board. And so what we decided to do was actually, since we recently held elections in the fall, and we had a number of very qualified candidates, that we would go to the next person who had the highest number of votes in that election and offer that 3-year term to that person. And we are lucky in that Kelly Drown has accepted that position. And so Kelly Drown will start on the board in July in a 3-year term. The other change on our board is that with Ryan Bell moving from kind of an elected member position into the president-elect role, it actually opens up the last year of Ryan's 3-year term. And so we went to the next person on that in that election. And we are again lucky that Tara Manetos has agreed to serve in that 1-year term on the board. So I think we all deserve to do, you know, practice our reactions in the button at the bottom and applaud or give a thumbs up for our great people, our Rotarians who are going to step forward and serve in board positions for next year. So thanks again to Kelly and to Tara for stepping up, for Madeline for being willing to serve as treasurer. And again, Neil Quellhorst, I don't know what we would have done without you. You have been a fabulous, calm, steady helm in the treasury role, and we have truly appreciated all your efforts. It's just an example of how this club moves forward because of volunteers and your involvement. So, you know, all members, I want to always encourage you to think about how you can get involved in the club. So next, I'm going to go to Trisha Smith, who's going to provide for us her Rotary moment of gratitude and positivity. Trisha?
Thank you, Barb. All right, well, each morning I start my day with a cup of drip coffee. It energizes me, it keeps me going all day long, and I really rely on it. So as I began to contemplate what I should share for my inspirational moment with Rotary, I, of course, made a cup of coffee, found a comfy chair, and began to ponder what to share with you. And something came up from my past, a story that I had heard a few times in some business conferences, as well as in some different environments. And I thought it would really be good to share as we continue to kind of focus on a little bit of adversity through the pandemic. So it's entitled Potatoes, Eggs, and Coffee Beans. Once upon a time, there was a daughter who came to her father and said, I just can't take it any longer, Dad. It's so frustrating. My life is miserable. I just don't know if I'm going to make it through. She's tired of fighting. She said she was tired of struggling all the time and really realized that every time she would solve one problem, another was soon to follow. So her father, who happened to be a trained chef, took her into the kitchen. He pulled out 3 pots and filled them with water and placed them on the stove. Once the 3 pots began to boil, he put potatoes into the first pot, eggs into the second pot, and ground coffee beans into the third. He then let them sit and boil without saying a word to his daughter, who continued to mill and moan around the kitchen, wondering what he was doing. After 20 minutes, he turned off the heat. He removed the potatoes from their pot and placed them on a plate. He removed the eggs and placed them in a bowl, and he ladled the coffee out and placed it into a mug. He then turned to his daughter and said, "What do you see?" "Potatoes, eggs, and coffee," she hastily replied to him. He said, "Wait, no, look again. This time, touch the potatoes." So she reached out and she touched the potatoes and found that they were very soft. He then encouraged her to crack open one of the eggs. So she cracked the egg and peeled away the outer shell and realized, of course, that the egg was now hard inside. Finally, he asked her to take a sip of the coffee. She did with a smile as she inhaled the aroma of the coffee. However, she turned to him again and said, "I don't get it. What are you trying to say?" He sat back and looked at her and said, "It's quite simple. As you look at each of these items, the potatoes, the eggs, and the coffee beans, they each have faced recently the exact same adversity, the boiling water. But each of them reacted very differently. Take the potatoes. They went in strong, hard, unrelenting. But when met with the boiling water, they became soft and weak. Look at the eggs. They were so thin and fragile, protected by their outer shell, but when placed in the boiling water, they became hard inside. Now look at the coffee. The coffee beans, they are very unique. For when they were placed into the exact same pot of boiling water, they exposed themselves, changed the water, and created something new. So you, each of you, which are you? Are you the potato? Are you the eggs? Or are you the ground coffee beans? In life, things happen. Things happen to us. Things happen to the world around us. But what truly matters is what happens within us. We're all facing our own adversity right now. And with the pandemic, we're facing one that is shared, the pandemic, our pots of boiling water. But each day we can choose to lay in a heap or to find growth and opportunity in this experience. Today, I challenge each of you, find your opportunity to grow and be the coffee beans. I'll turn it back to you, Barb.
That is wonderful. That's a great, great story. Thank you, Trisha, for sharing that. I have to admit, I truly love this new tradition of the Rotary Moment of Gratitude and Positivity, because we get all kinds of inspiration and stories from different people, and this was a priceless one. So thank you very much. Truly appreciate it. So before we move on, I do want to go to Tara Minettos, who has an announcement about our Rotarian Supporting Women Committee. Tara?
Thank
Thank you, President Barb. I just wanted to make a quick announcement that we are seeking candidates for our Rotarian Supporting Women Scholarship, and they're going to be due on March 8th, which is coming right up. We are giving strong preference to a non-traditional student, so perhaps a female looking to get a certification or attend Kirkwood, something like that. So strong preference. If you know any young women in the community, it's a great opportunity. It's going to be at least $1,000, hopefully going to someone. There's not many scholarships available for that population. The application is available on our homepage of our website. So if you know anyone, please encourage them to apply.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tara. That's a great committee, and it's another opportunity for you to get involved if you aren't involved. But think about it. Who do you know that might qualify for that scholarship, and spread the word? Or who do you know who might know somebody who might know somebody who might qualify for that scholarship? So next, we are actually going to induct a new member, which is a wonderful thing. And so it's my pleasure as the sponsor of this member to actually introduce him. And so Tagba, hopefully I'm gonna get all of this pronunciation right. So cross my fingers. So Tagba, Dijato Bugono, I think.
You did well. You did well.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
thanks. So Tagba is originally from Togo in West Africa, and he has been in the United States for 8 years. He is a projects planner with Tyson Foods, and he and his wife, Ablavi Vaseho, have 3 children, 2 daughters, Naili and Farida, and 1 infant son, Amir, who is maybe like a month to 2 months tops, I'm thinking. His hobbies include traveling, sports, and spending time with his family. He's attracted to Rotary because he wants to be part of a family who likes helping others. And instead of doing it alone, he decided to join this fantastic club. Those are his words, not mine, and work as a family to achieve these goals, which I think is just a wonderful, wonderful reason for him to join this club. So Tagba, do you want to say anything else before we go through the rest of the process?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody. I've been joining this club for a few times through the meetings, and then everything that I've been seeing is very wonderful to me. I mean, I like it. I like everybody on the club, and it's just like a family, another family for me. So I'm very happy to be part of this wonderful family once again. And thank you to you all.
Well, that's great. Well, Tagba, we're happy to have you as a part of that family.
Thank you.
Tagba, I want to let you know that you have been approved for membership in this club because we believe that you are a worthy representative of your vocation. You're interested in the ideals of Rotary and willing to do your share in translating those ideals into action. Rotary is a non-political, non-discriminatory, and non-denominational organization. Our impact starts with our members, people who work tirelessly with their clubs to solve some of the most difficult challenges in their communities. Our efforts are supported by the Rotary International and Rotary Foundation, which turns our donations into grants that fund the work of our members and partners around the globe. So when you become a member of the Iowa City Noon Rotary Club, you will be joining over 1.2 million Rotarians around the world. And Rotary International uses the term JET to explain what we do so well. Join leaders, exchange ideas, and take action. So your challenge as a new Rotarian is to get involved, join at least one committee, that's my recommendation, and bring other guests and introduce them to Rotary. So if we were meeting in person, I would now ask everybody to stand up and kind of to applaud you, but since we're virtual, I just ask that everybody either applaud in your picture, do the hand emoji, etc. And we can all welcome our newest member, Tagba. So Tagba, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Baba, and thank you to everyone.
That is wonderful. We are glad to have you as a part of the family. Thank you for joining us. I will say I'm really impressed with Tagba. He has emails me and lets me know if he's going to be late or if he can't make it. He's just, Think how good that would be on your committee. You want a worker like him, right? You know, somebody who does what he says, lets you know
Thank you.
if he's running late. Exactly. So Tagba, we're going to get you involved, just so you know.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So now we'll move on to our program, and it's my honor to introduce our speaker today, Jennifer New. So Jennifer has served as the Associate Director of the Obermann Center for Advanced Studies for a decade. In this role, she is particularly committed to finding ways to connect university scholars and artists with the community. She is a co-creator of the Obermann Graduate Institute, which prepares graduate students to be publicly engaged researchers and teachers. She also hosts Obermann Conversations, a series that puts community and campus in conversation around shared topics of passion, including a recent session on death and dying during COVID, and March's event about native land reclamation and acknowledgement. Jennifer is the author of 3 books and is currently completing a project called Joy is an Act of Resistance that will support local arts programming for youth. As a part of its Mellon-funded 4-year grant to create a new PhD program for humanists who want to work outside the academy, the UI's Obermann Center has organized a summer internship program that places UI humanities graduate students with local organizations. Jennifer will share the successes of this program and give you some insight and hope that you think about future models for our community. So Jennifer, I will turn it over to you.
Great, thank you so much, Barb. Yes, indeed, it's great to see so many familiar faces and also meet new people. I wanted to give one shout out to Robin Hepker, who I know is here, and I get to work with Robin a lot through my work, and she's also a neighbor. And Robin is really the way that I most know about Noon Rotary. So Robin, thank you for that introduction to the work that all of you do. So I'm now going to attempt to share my screen. Always a dicey, exciting moment. And let me see here. Go up here. All right, how's that looking, Barb?
That looks great.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the grant Humanities for the Public Good is something that was offered to the Obermann Center for Advanced Studies. So let me just start there too, because I'm sure there are people here who don't know about Obermann. We are located in this house on Church Street that's right across from the University of Iowa President's House. And when we are there during normal times, I actually have hardly even been in the house for a year, which is just bizarre, but there are offices upstairs for University of Iowa faculty who have some kind of leave to work on a project. And then there are 2 fairly large conference rooms because a lot of what we fund supports collaborative and multidisciplinary work. We serve the research mission of the University of Iowa, and we support faculty and graduate students from across campus. So while we do have a very close relationship with the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and I would say that over 50% of the faculty we work with come from that area, we have literally worked with people from every single college at the university. And let's see here. There we go. So the grant in question that has allowed for these internships comes from the Mellon Foundation, the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. And one thing that's interesting about Mellon is that you cannot apply to them. They do not have like a website where they list all of their, possible grants and the dates. They come to you and kind of tap you. So it was a great honor simply to be invited to apply for this. And one of the areas that they have had a lot of interest in recent years is looking at the humanities PhD and creating new programs and new ways to go about doing this. So how can a program be more interdisciplinary, getting English and history and music, etc., talking and doing something together as opposed to being very siloed. How can it create ecosystems that aren't only within academic departments, but also involving museums and presses on a campus, and then looking at other employers and organizations within a community, and then to get the students to start thinking about different careers that they might engage in. So this is a 4-year grant. However, because of COVID, we are probably going to be allowed an extension of at least 1, if not 2 years, 9-year of 2023 board that's comprised of faculty, graduate students, and university staff who are looking at what this actual PhD might look like, how it could kind of programmatically occur. And I'll talk about that just a little bit more. So within the humanities for the public good, obviously the first word that jumps out at you is the humanities. And many of us, think we know what the humanities are, but it's one of those things, if you actually have to sit down and write out a definition, it can become a little dicey. It is, I think, often associated with all those things that you don't necessarily want your kid to go major in because you're worried that they won't find a job. So the humanities, this is a definition I like, including the study of languages, literature, history, jurisprudence, philosophy, comparative religion, ethics, and the arts, are disciplines of memory and imagination, telling us where we have been and helping us envision where we are going. So this definition kind of starts to speak to why the humanities matter and why they particularly matter right now. We are seeing in this world of increasingly complicated problems where different systems, systems of education and the environment and healthcare and et cetera are overlapping, that you need people who have some of these skills of interpretation, of storytelling, of meaning making. And also within the humanities, there is often a commitment to these values of equity and inclusion, justice, empathy, and compassion. And I think the greater world is sort of seeing how those are important things at this particular moment in time. And then in terms of the university's need, is that as our students at all levels of education are becoming more and more diverse, we want to meet their interests and attract them to come to our campus. So we have found at the Obermann Center with, for example, our other program that Barb alluded to, the Graduate Institute, is we see that women, LGBTQ students, and students of color are especially drawn to careers that connect their research with community needs. So they really want what they are learning about and researching to matter far beyond, their discipline and their area. So as the Mellon Foundation has asked both the University of Iowa and other leading research universities across the country to rethink graduate humanities education, it is partly because of all of these, what I'll be alluding to in this as wicked problems of pandemics and racism and environmental changes, et cetera. And how can we address those at the exact same time that there are dramatically fewer jobs for people who have advanced degrees in the humanities, and yet the world needs their skills? Could we actually find a way to harness their skills toward addressing some of these problems? So something that is starting to emerge in some other universities, and I would point particularly to Duke and University of Michigan as leading examples, is thinking about humanities labs. Can we take a kind of look at the sciences and the lab model and transfer that to the humanities? So right now, that advisory board that the Obermann Center has put together of faculty, graduate students, and staff is looking at these issues over here on the right. And they have organized themselves, into 5 groups, and they're taking each of those and saying, okay, if a student came in and was looking at, say, environmental change, and they were going to be part of a humanities lab and spend 3 years looking at that through both theoretical readings, through a lot of like practical skill gaining and information gathering, and then experiential training to start to try to tackle and approach that issue. What would that look like? And as they put those together, core to each of these groups and their ideas is an internship. So we have started with the money that we have received from the Mellon Foundation to offer summer internships. We've done this now 2 summers, 2019 and 20, with 17 University of Iowa PhD students. Another 10 will be selected actually within the next probably 2 weeks. I was just reading those applications yesterday. And these students are all working at sites in Eastern Iowa, basically in the corridor, for 8 weeks in the summer. They work for 30 hours a week on a specific project that the site and I kind of talk through in advance, and then they fine tune once the student is on board and they know what that person's both interests and skills are. Via the Mellon Foundation money, we're able to offer the student $5,000 at a time, during the summer that humanities PhDs are often hard pressed to come by funding. And we also give a pretty sizable stipend of $3,000 to the partnering organization to thank them for their time. The interns bring both their expertise and skills in content and project management, writing and research, and all sorts of digital skills to the site. And then they receive mentoring and opportunities to do things that as a graduate student and also as students who've often gone straight through their educational experience just haven't had a lot of chance to do so far. So the benefits of the interns, and I'm going to introduce you to a few of these students, but to give you a sense of what they get out of it. I mean, these are such bright and idealistic young people. Most of them, I'd say, are in their mid to late 20s. And they have been diving so deeply into a very specific area, but they haven't had a lot of chance to get their feet wet outside of academia, especially in any kind of professional area. So they're suddenly being entrusted to be part of a team, to show up and to do work that is not necessarily the kind of work they're used to doing. And it is a real confidence booster. So this first quote is actually somebody who worked at the National Czech and Slovak Museum last summer. And then she was interviewed to be the head of accessibility services at Coe College. And she really says that experience of working at the National Czech and Slovak Museum and being part of a professional team gave her the comfort and the kind of comfortability and confidence to interview for that other job. They also gain really important mentoring. So most of these students, they have an advisor on the faculty, and those people are great. They go above and beyond what they need to do in terms of offering all sorts of guidance and emotional support to their students, but they have spent their entire lives working in the academy. And so providing them with any kind of career guidance that goes outside of that is just something that they don't have a lot of experience with. So this is a chance for students to have, kind of gain another mentor. Also, it gives them a chance to learn these things that those in the business world and in nonprofits know very well, which is, quickly pivoting and repositioning. And within academia, it's often, and if you think of a student getting a PhD, they set their topic and they kind of stick with it. And that's what they're doing for a number of years, very deeply. So they don't have a lot of experience with that kind of quick-footedness that many in other fields need to have. And then finally, it gives them just a greater vantage point to start considering, well, what else might I do, and would I be happy doing that? And we've seen, some exciting kind of shifts in what students are thinking about doing post-graduation, whether it's staying within the academy, but in a non-professorial position, or finding something at, say, a press or a museum or a foundation. The benefits to the sites are also noteworthy. They, unlike undergraduate interns who they're often working with, and who, I know we have an undergraduate intern on the call, so absolutely no disrespect to that person, because they bring a lot of vitality to those positions. But you have a graduate student, and I think people are often amazed at the level of work that they can do. I mean, these are people who are, top level researchers, and can work very independently without, any issue. They are also, they really know this kind of the pulse of intellectual trends and expertise. They're very engaged on social media at, kind of the level of intellectual academic conversations around particular issues. And then many of them have incredible digital expertise, and also access to some research platforms that many organizations cannot get into partly because of costs. So it's been great to be able to have these students come and really work with these organizations, and not sort of drag them down by being, somebody else they might have to look after, but by really being able to just jump in feet first and take a project and run with it. So the organizations that we have worked with so far are listed on the left. Some of them we have had 2 interns with at a time, others, just one at a time. I was sorry that Chuck Swanson couldn't be here this week. I know he was on the call last week, because we've had 2 students every summer at Hampshire, and have really appreciated the mentoring that Hampshire has given to those students. So to briefly just introduce you to a few of these students and give you a sense of what they did, and just kind of the depth of work. So Paul Schmidt is an English PhD student. He's studying environmental literature, and he's from Wisconsin originally. Paul worked with Iowa Valley Resource Conservation and Development out of Amana. And he was tasked with being part of a team that was working with the city of Vinton. And they were looking at some pretty intense flooding that they had experienced, and starting to do some planning for the future, and also grant writing. And so Paul, he did a lot of interviewing, so qualitative research, talking to local residents. He toured some of the previous flooded areas with local leaders, and he helped facilitate a large community conversation about the shortcomings in planning and infrastructure, and what needed to happen for the future. And then using all this, and this kind of speaks to some of that digital skills, he was able to use some software to create a pretty advanced digital story map that told the story of what had occurred in Vinton in the past, and that has been very helpful to planners and grant writings going forward. And then on a more personal level, one of the outcomes of this is that Iowa Valley actually hired Paul to keep working with them as a paid part-time staff member, which he is doing as he completes his dissertation. And I will add that Paul also slightly shifted the focus of his dissertation as a result of this project. Andrew Boge is a PhD candidate in communication studies, and he worked up in Cedar Rapids with the African American Museum of Iowa. They had a long-standing kind of field trip program for elementary school kids to come in and learn more about the Underground Railroad. And they wanted to expand that program to high school and college age students. And Andrew was able to come in and kind of hit the pause button and say, well, before we do that, why don't we take the pulse of what's going on, what we're learning at the national level about this kind of experiential programming around race, which has some benefits, I think, of building empathy, but is also problematic of potentially putting people like in the role of being a slave. And so Andrew did a lot of research, built an extensive bibliography, interviewed scholars and museum experts around the country, and actually even visited some museums in the Midwest. And then wrote up some kind of an overview of what was happening nationally and put together some curricular options for the museum to consider that would affect both this new high school program as well as what they were already offering at the elementary school level. And Andrew has taken this and presented it at several national conferences. And so he's made it part of his own research as a graduate student. Cassie Barron is also an English PhD student. Her PhD dissertation research is on 19th century labor as presented in the works of Melville and some of his contemporaries. And Cassie worked with the UI Labor Center last summer to help them create a whole new statewide network of women in trades. So women electricians, plumbers, etc. And so she helped put together a website and also a series of videos and actually Zoom. They ended up being Zoom because of COVID, but meetings for these women to start to build this kind of professional network to help them support each other and advance their work. And in doing so, Cassie both rethought her dissertation to focus entirely on women in labor, and which was going to be one chapter, but is now the entire book. And she also realized how applicable her research is to contemporary issues, and was just completely re-energized for the work that she's doing. And then this is one of my favorite projects. So this was 2 summers ago. It was also with Iowa Valley RC&D. And this is in the town of Victor, Iowa, which you would probably pass many times, the sign for Victor on I-80 going toward Des Moines. And it was settled by folks from Belgium. And there is a game called Roly-Boly, which is a little bit like bocce ball. And Victor is one of the kind of final places in the Midwest where Roly-Boly is still actively played. And so Iowa Valley wanted to find a way to capture those stories of this cultural heritage. And they tasked Marie with learning as much as she could about the game and the people who play it. She actually attended the Roly-Boly national, or they weren't even national, they were beyond national because there were people from Canada, but the championships in Illinois, and put together a digital archive. You know, she got all sorts of newspaper clippings from people's attics, you know, that would have just gotten thrown away. And then eventually they designed and printed a booklet about what she had found. And again, I think for Marie, this did not pertain exactly to her work as a, her university research, but it was just this utter breath of fresh air for her to drive around central Iowa in the summer and get to know these people and just feel very re-energized when she came back to school. So I'd been hoping to show you this video as a final clip, but Barb said that video isn't super successful. So I will encourage you to go watch it. It is a video about the Johnson County Poor Farm, which is out, if you go out past West High, about another 2 miles on your left. And you may have seen, they put up 2 or 3 summers ago, a very official sign for it. And so this is about the Grow Johnson County project that is occurring there to work with immigrant farmers and to also address food insecurity issues in the county. And Jonathan is a cinematic arts PhD. And so he put together just a really wonderful, very professional video about his work there. Oops. Okay. So those are all of my slides. I am very happy to take questions about any piece of this. And yeah, anything that brought up ideas or questions.
Great, thank you so much, Jennifer. So
yeah.
I welcome anybody. If there are any questions for her, you can always raise your hand if you'd like to. I have to say, Jennifer, it's a great program. It seems like an amazing win for the students. It's an amazing win for the partner. It's just really a great collaboration. It's also interesting to see how it has influenced some of those PhD students and their writing. And, what a wonderful thing.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. We have a question because, surprise, Jennifer, Chuck Swanson is here today.
Oh, Chuck is here. Oh, great. Wonderful.
So I just have to add that, first of all, Jennifer, you're right. The Obermann Center is it's really such an asset to the university. And I know you do so much there and we really appreciate it. And I have to add that those interns, I know they learned a lot, but we also learned a lot through them too. The level of their professionalism, their expertise, and really the devotion that they gave us, it was a gift. So thank you very, very much.
Oh yeah, thank you, Chuck. And I will also say that Micah Ariel James on your staff she is such a wonderful mentor. And so yeah, so pass along that gratitude.
Thank you. Thanks.
That is wonderful. Do we have any other questions from the audience? You can raise your hand in the participants button, or you can even use the other, that reaction, and we can see if we can capture that. Just take a quick look. It doesn't look like we have any other questions. Jennifer, I really want to just thank you for taking this time. I would agree. I did not know about this program. So thanks again to Robin Hepker for bringing it forward, because it's great to hear about it. And it's a great concept. So how do you promote it to the business community for them to take advantage of it? Or is it really I have this person, I think they might fit this organization, and you're doing it like kind of really one-on-one?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So I've been going, I start reaching out to approximately November for the coming summer to talk about their needs and how a student might work with them. And I've been looking at organizations where somebody at Obermann maybe has an existing relationship to kind of build on that. It's a lot of relationship building. The other thing I'd mention is that going forward, right now we're able to offer this because of this very generous grant. The University of Michigan offers these kinds of internships about 20 a summer that are funded entirely via the university and some outdoor donors. Outside donors. And then another really interesting model is coming up at the University of Indiana Purdue, Indianapolis. It's like ooey pooey. And they're actually working more, and they are in a bigger community, but with larger businesses and policy-making organizations who are actually paying the interns to come on. And then often those interns are then going and working with them in jobs eventually down the road. So it's interesting to see across the country how different communities and large universities are thinking, how can we start working together more strategically?
That is great. Well, Jennifer, again, thank you very much for coming and sharing your story with us today. On your behalf, in appreciation for you taking the time to speak to our club will actually donate to Rotary International's Polio Plus program in your name. And that donation will actually be matched 2-to-1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And so that simple donation will provide 70 vaccinations of polio around the world.
I love that. Thank you.
You bet. Well, thank you so much for doing so. And then with that, I believe that is probably the last of our business for today. I will not be here next week. Our President-elect Eric Weiler will be leading the meeting. But before we leave, I do encourage all of our members to join us in the 4-way test. Of all of the things that we think we say or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Build relationships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And with that, our meeting is done. And I want to thank you all for spending the hour with us. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy your Thursday. The sun is out and the sky is blue. So it is good. And I challenge you all to be the coffee bean. Right, Trisha? Great. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Jennifer.